Because if you keep going and keep passionately moving forward for what you believe in, the tide or the sea does tend to open.
I'm David Icke from England. I went through an extraordinary series of what you might call paranormal experiences, not that they were, 20 years ago in 1990 and 89, and basically the veil lifted. And I saw the world in a completely different way, and I started on a journey of research which has led me over 20 years to a very obvious conclusion that this world is controlled by very, very few people behind the people we think are in power, and they have a very, very malevolent agenda for humanity as a whole, who to them are nothing more than cattle.
It doesn't take many brain cells on active duty to realise that we are at a fork in the road. We can no longer stand there staring at the map thinking, which way do I go?
The New World Order. What is the objectives of the New World Order? One world government, one world economy, one world religion, theirs, and the population of less than 1 billion people. And you think, well, that's ridiculous, that's not going to happen. But let me tell you, there are organisations, and they're becoming even more open about this goal to reduce the population.
Do you think they're changing the species, or trying to kill us, or change us, or whatever?
Well, at least they're making us very sick. And since the goal that I have read of the elite, if I can use that word, is to diminish our population on planet Earth by at least 2/3, maybe even 5 billion. So that's very, very negative.
Can you explore that more? I mean, we're facing this new disease which is coming out.
Swine?
Swine flu.
Oh, that's just rubbish. I mean, that is really rubbish.
The whole conspiracy is founded on keeping humanity in a very, very low level of perception about self, perception about the world. This is why we have the dumbing down of education. This is why we have the controlled so-called information that comes through the media. The idea is to keep people in ignorance of anything that would be a problem to the control system. So we're kept in ignorance about the nature of reality itself, the nature of life itself, who we are, where we are, what we're doing here. We're kept in ignorance of the true forces that are manipulating behind the people we see in the public arena, like we had 8 years of Bush, who was blatantly just a figurehead signing his name on the legislation, and he's been replaced by Obama, who is another blatant figurehead doing the same, controlled by the same force ultimately that controlled Bush. Now all these connections have to be kept from people so that we behave and perceive the world and everything in the way that suits the control system.
Pregnant women will have a decision to make in coming weeks. Should they or shouldn't they get the vaccine against the H1N1 flu? The FDA has already approved applications from 4 manufacturers to begin producing the vaccine, but clinical trials on pregnant women are still underway.
You know, it's not the swine flu that's dangerous, it's the injections. Because it's supposedly, it's not only swine, but it is human virus mixed with swine virus, mixed with bird virus. And of course, behind the whole thing is to diminish world population, because it's very toxic, and to get milliards and milliards and milliards into the pockets of those who put them out. Rumsfeld is an owner also in one of the big drug companies. And since they want to diminish the population, so they start saying that children and pregnant women are the first ones. Eliminate the next generation.
That's right. This would be the first time that anyone will get an H1N1 vaccine. As you can imagine, when you're pregnant, you're so worried about everything you put in your body, the foods you eat, the drugs you take. And now the Centers for Disease Control is saying, hey, take this vaccine that we just finished testing. You're going to be in the first crop of pregnant women to get the H1N1 vaccine. Amy Amy wants to be able to protect her unborn child. You see there, she's saying hello to it. And her baby is due at the end of the month. He's a little boy. And she would like her little boy to be protected against H1N1. The only way that she can do that is to get a shot while she's pregnant. So she's joined a clinical trial. Now the reason, this is actually kind of fascinating. When a baby is born, the baby cannot get a swine flu shot until he's 6 months of age.
So too vulnerable?
Too vulnerable, all sorts of reasons. So they don't give the shot until 6 months of age. But Amy got the shot the other day. I was with her, and her baby will probably get protection from that shot. So this is really the only way she could do it, and that's why she decided to join the clinical trial. But it was a tough decision.
It's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, it's for her it was a 2-for-1, but she did think about it quite a bit before doing it.
I'm sure she did.
We have a situation now, not just in America, but in Britain and the wider world, where between birth and about 2 years of age, we're having children be given 25 and rising different vaccinations and combinations of them, poured in all this, these chemical cocktails that destabilize the body, but more important than that, they have to be dealt with by a still developing immune system.
Oh, it sounds almost cute, surviving H1N1 with a baby in your
That's
belly.
right.
But it's not.
Well, it's anxiety producing. I mean,
serious,
having been
yeah.
pregnant 4 times, never doing.
In less than 2 weeks, the long-awaited H1N1 vaccine will be available to the public. But the question is, will people actually get it? A new poll from the University of Michigan shows only 40% of parents want it for their kids, even though it's recommended for all kids. Our senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen was at a briefing at the White House yesterday. Elizabeth, we talked to you when you were there, but what are you hearing now this morning? What are federal health officials worried about here?
Heidi, what I heard from those folks at the White House yesterday and continue to hear is that they are concerned that parents are going to just say no to the H1N1 shot, even though, as you pointed out, all kids are supposed to get it.
I was told in 1997 by a CIA scientist who asked to meet me to get lots of information out that he couldn't, that in 1997 in the secret projects and the underground bases, they had microchips that were so small they could be inserted into people through a hypodermic needle in vaccination programs, and that was the plan. All these years later, of course, we now have a name for this technology. We call it nanotechnology, and he was saying that the plan was to use vaccination programs to insert these microchips. And what we're looking at now very clearly is this attempt to play that card of mass global immunization with a excuse of this manufactured virus to get access to the body computer systems, as I would say, of almost everyone on the planet. And they're not doing that because they want to protect people from anything. Crikey, the force that's saying be vaccinated is the force that created the virus which they're saying be vaccinated against.
I see nowadays I'm paranoid, hooded up, ducking out the way that the cameras point, disgraced by the tabloids, cause they say we don't have a choice, but who are they to tell us what's fact from fiction? A rise in gas emissions, rash decisions, malnutrition and maddie pictures. They say it will change when they catch the villains. Well, with Saddam it didn't, still Bin Laden's hidden, it don't make a scrap of difference. The UN still dictate to the Palestinians. Tanks are driven and relieved of their ammunition. Bombs ain't bad for business. 17 years and now half of Iraq is missing. Do not be surprised by bombs in the pipeline. Watch when the time's right. You're gone bye-byes. Welcome to the zeitgeist. Modern day Einsteins. All seeing eye signs. Stay within the guidelines. The ID card ain't far from the microchips they plan to implant inside your wrist. And what really are alliances of dominant nations? They're calling the council on foreign relations. Get used to the fact they got troops in Iraq, and they're gonna be there till they removed all the gas. The larger degrees have commander-in-chiefs and private militaries that are armed to the teeth. Men in white coats that shoot particle beams, annihilate any single target they please.